That is the symbol of infinity. Everyone knows this symbol and has an idea, even if vague, of what it represents. But the amount of knowledge that we can extract from this concept is simply incredible. The symbol we use for infinity has a name, although we may not know it. It's called lemniscate and comes from Latin. The concept of infinity, explored in various philosophical concepts throughout humanity's history, can evoke all kinds of emotions. Some people feel absorbed by the concept, almost feeling small and irrelevant, empty, especially when the contrast between something infinite and our reality of everyday scarcity becomes more evident. Some other people might feel inspired to reflect and explore something so enormous with their own limited minds. The idea of infinity has inspired many reflections on the nature of the world and the human mind, and today we will seek the infinite in our real world. Is there something infinite in the world? To guide our search a bit, we will revisit the ancient Greek version of Aristotle separated the infinites into two categories: potential infinites and actual infinites. There are things that are potentially infinite, like counting. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In theory, I could never stop counting, but in practice, I will have to stop counting at some point. I can't count an infinite number because I have more things to do in my life. This is potential infinity. The other version of infinity is actual infinity, the version that comes from ideas and structures itself in the world in all its greatness. Aristotle did not believe that there really was something infinite in the world, only things potentially infinite. But our worldview is drastically different from that of the Greeks. So let's try to answer this question that gave rise to this video in a somewhat more modern way. Does infinity exist in our universe? A good place to start looking for our answer is in time. We don't often stop to think about the complete extent of time, but currently, there is nothing in physics that indicates that time will end one day. The universe will continue to expand and evolve for an infinite time. Trillions and trillions of years from now, there will be nothing in the universe but low-energy radiation. But everything indicates that time will continue to pass 1 second at a time. Even so, the infinite time we will have in the future is not an actual infinity. It is only potentially infinite. Even if humanity somehow manages to survive until the heat death of the universe, no human being will experience the infinitesimal second of time. There will probably be human beings far into the future, but none of them will actually be in the infinite. So another possibility is to reverse the direction of our clock and seek infinity in the past. Currently, our best scientific knowledge attributes the beginning of the universe, and consequently, time, to an event that occurred about 13.8 billion years ago and initiated the Big Bang. But there are models of the universe that try to explain what happened before that, including theories of cyclic universes in which our Big Bang was just one of several. In these models, the universe exists in an eternal cycle of beginning, ending, beginning, ending, beginning, ending. If this is the case, then here we will find our first actual infinity, a true infinity. There are two ways for this infinity to express itself. The first is that the universe really exists in a cycle of beginning, end, and restart. If this is the case, there are infinite universes that came before ours. Otherwise, we are already in an infinite number of seconds in the future. This is an actual infinity because an infinite number of seconds and infinite universes have already passed. The second way is that the cycles of the universe repeat. For example, there may be only 12 possible histories of the universe that repeat again and again. If this is the case, there are only 12 universes in the cycle, but each of them repeats infinitely. We are part of the universe, meaning you are the infinitesimally version of yourself. Here's another possible actual infinity. But we don't know the final destiny, the beginning of our universe. Still, these infinities are completely possible as far as we know, and the same is true for the extent of our universe, the space of the universe. Perhaps the universe we can observe, with approximately 100 billion light-years in diameter, is infinite. But the limit of our vision is not the limit of space. Perhaps there is more universe out there, and maybe there is an infinite amount of more universe out there. If this is the case, there may be infinite stars, infinite galaxies, and infinite planets in the universe, perhaps even infinite intelligent civilizations, most of which will never meet because even in an infinite universe, the speed of light is finite, and it's impossible to. But it's not only in the vastness of space and time that infinity hides. Perhaps infinity hides in the tiny For example, consider the space between my hands. How many possible places exist between them? If space is perfectly continuous, like the mathematical line between 0 and 1, then there are infinite possible positions in space. A particle can be 10 centimeters from my hand, or 10.01 centimeters from my hand, or 10.001 centimeters, or any infinite number of different possibilities. This infinity literally fits between my hands, and there are infinite points of space between my hands. The same question applies to time. If time is continuous and smooth, there are infinite moments in time. Each second you went through, infinite instants. But if that's not the case, and time and space are not infinite, who knows, they might be like a grid or pixel on a screen. Perhaps there is a smallest size in space and a smallest fraction of time. If this is true, then there is an enormous number of points between my hands, but there is no infinity. There is also a limited infinite number of moments in each second, assuming space is truly perfectly continuous, and a point in space has perfectly zero volume. This leads to another possible hidden infinity from us, hidden even kind of truth within black holes, behind an event horizon from which neither light nor escape. According to the traditional calculations of Einstein's general relativity, the formation of a black hole crushes a high amount of matter into a volume point of zero and infinite density, something called a singularity. The usual interpretation of the singularity is that it represents the point where Einstein's general relativity fails. The idea is that from a small distance, quantum effects of gravity need to be taken into account, and this small distance is the Planck length. From the Planck length, quantum gravity would prevent the formation of this infinite density, becoming somehow repulsive. In general, physicists don't like infinities in the real world. However, if space is truly continuous and there is no minimum length, the singularity might well be infinite. After all, if there are infinite points in every millimeter of space, then why would an infinite density be more strange and even in discordance with these infinities in space that several quantum gravity theories propose a quantized space? In other words, they postulate that there is a minimum length for space. The quantum space would be made of pixels, according to most quantum gravity theories. Still, we don't know if this is indeed the case, and this leads us to the last place for the infinite, at least potentially, the most intimate place even more so than the palm of your hand. Perhaps infinity is in your mind, and I don't say this only about the abstract concept of infinity. Maybe there are infinite possible different thoughts, meaning humanity can exist for all conceivable futures and never think all the thoughts that can exist. Think about it. There is a curious thought experiment to argue that there are infinite thoughts. Think of something now. No matter what you thought, it's possible to construct a new thought. Just think about what you thought. It will be a second thought different from the first, and you can repeat the process by thinking about having thought about what you thought. You've literally created an infinite chain of different thoughts from a single thought. So the human mind might be, at least potentially, infinite. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.